Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lou Reviews, the destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Please don't forget to smack that like, share, and subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you are notified anytime we go live. If you want to support the show with the almighty dollar, please feel free to consider checking out our Patreon link in the description below. It's a great way to support the show. Today we're going to be talking about the call to arms from the UFO community being led by people like Ross Coulthart and Jesse Springer and Liberation Times and on and on and on. And they are screaming at the top of the lungs that this Schumer amendment's not going to get through. I've got some thoughts on it. We're going to talk about it, but sort of the tactics that they're using, and will those tactics sprout into the things that they want, or will those tactics lead to them being pushed back even further than they were before? Again, we're going to dig into it. Also, we're going to look at the, in my opinion, the final 100% nail in the coffin on MH370, and that whole bogus, factually hoaxed event. I think this discussion's over, but of course it's the internet, and there's going to be a group of people that push this shit until until either somebody A, recreates it, or B, absolutely lights Ashton on fire, like literal intellectual fire, to a point where he can't squirm out of these stupid things anymore, because it's ridiculous what he's going to at this point, and sort of what he's ignoring. And again, we'll get into that. So let's go ahead and do so, shall we, guys? Thank you all for being here. I've noticed that there's a couple folks that have said that they are not on Twitter whatsoever. And you know, it's tough to sort of keep up with some of the stuff that we're talking about. And don't worry, we'll play some of these clips for you guys. We have the audio of it. But my recommendation, yes, stay off Twitter. Stay off of UFO Twitter. It's absolutely useless. You're not going to get anywhere with it. People say, oh yeah, we're here for the, open conversation and stuff like that. No, they're not. They're there to confirm belief systems. They're there to just get the answers that they want, essentially. Wise Monkey, thank you so much for the dollar donation, 75 cents, 79 cent euro, whatever it is. Thank you so much for that donation. Appreciate it. It says, let's celebrate first super stream on live. Oh, wow. First super oh, cool. Excellent. I don't know whose first super stream it is. Oh, it's Wise Monkey's first super stream. So thank you. Excellent. Thank you for thank you for the donation. Thank you for watching. Want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Tried to highlight before we started, Jason Parker, Justin S, Heather Birdie, Wise Monkey, Duncan Faree, Sandra McDonald, King, KMFHA. Name is so long. Justin S, guys, thanks again for being here. Fifi Barbara, thank you guys. If you haven't already, please share the show. Tell everybody we are live. All right. So let's go ahead and switch views here. So what do we want to start with first? I guess we'll start with the angry mob. So this is one of the first tweets that I saw over the weekend. This was sent out, 2 days ago. So Friday. And this one's from Rogue UAPTF. This is Jesse Springer. That's very well known. I'm not doxing any information there. He's one of the, I don't want to label him a PR person for Lou Elizondo, but he was one of he was the person I talked to the most when I was planning the first big phone home. Out of everyone, Jesse Springer was the guy I was talking to the absolute most, as far as what I needed, what I was trying to get, him to articulate to Lou and Sean what I needed from them, And also, you know, how I wanted to, you know, the whole Christopher Mellon thing. I've explained it a lot about who Jesse Springer is. So essentially, to me, he's more of a direct mouthpiece for the propaganda that's trying to be pushed out of that Elizondo Mellon camp. I'm sure there's more people in that think tank, but you know, essentially everyone that was on what was that organization that they had? It's slipping my mind. It's right on the tip of my tongue anyway. I'll think of it in a second. But essentially, again, one of the spokespeople for this UFO propaganda, and he wrote on Friday, "It should go without saying that I'm the only one advocating for an aggressive push with phone calls, emails, and working personal relationships with the..." Oh, excuse me. No, that's not the original tweet. That's what he tweeted a couple of hours after. And I'll read that too, because that's sort of him backing what he just said in this first one. Sorry, apologies. So this is the first tweet. This just in addition to at Rep Mike Rogers in Alabama and at Rep Mike Turner, I have it on good authority that Leader McConnell and the new Speaker Johnson are now trying to squash the Schumer amendment focused on UAP and NHI transparency. These men need to be stopped urgently. So essentially, you're calling out these lawmakers by name, you're tagging them, and you're saying they need to be stopped urgently. And that you have it on good authority. Who's the good authority, Jesse? Who's the good authority that you have it on, that these guys are trying to kill this amendment? And this language isn't, like, I tell you, I didn't like it, again, because they're putting targets on the back of lawmakers that want nothing to do with this conversation, that have been harassed, and they don't want this conversation flooding their offices anymore. They don't, because most of the people that are calling are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and they're angry. A lot of them are freaking angry that the government's not giving them the truth on this. And so it doesn't surprise me that there's a couple of Republican lawmakers seeing the possible government waste that's coming down the road with something like this. Maybe, dare I say, Speaker Johnson, McConnell, Rogers, and Turner are aware of the OSAP program and what a waste of money that was and what they found with the OSAP program. Are they maybe preventing more werewolves in trench coats? Or is this just crying wolf to then, you know, celebrate your touchdown when this actually passes? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, they have it on good authority. I think that these representatives, if they're named by name, if I know Jesse, this is really going down. I think Rep Mike Rogers, Mike Turner, McConnell, and Speaker Johnson are actually trying to kill the amendment because they probably see it as government waste. And in these times, getting their seat reelected to, they're going to have to make sure that they squash stuff like this, especially if there's no good reason. And as far as what Arrow has found and what NASA has produced on this topic officially, they haven't found proof of extraterrestrial life visiting the Earth. Not just the United States, but Earth, period. Could this be a conspiracy to hide the truth on extraterrestrials? More than likely not. More than likely not. I don't know. Well, let's see how it plays out. Let's see if the amendment, I even with all of this noise, and we'll get into some more noise, I think this amendment passes. I really do. So that's what Rogue UAPTF said. And a lot of people gave him shit for saying that because after he said it, he had to walk it back a little bit. He said, it should go without saying that I'm only advocating for an aggressive push with phone calls, emails, and working personal relationships with these men. If you have them, the clock is ticking for the legislation to pass. I wouldn't typically say that Jesse or Rogue UAPTF is, they just push the agenda. And they when they tag representatives like this, and they know how this account is connected to their God, they don't reach out to these representatives in a constructive manner. And so you're cutting off your nose to spite your own face when you do stuff like this, when you tag these lawmakers. Because I think the reason why you're not hearing anything from Gillibrand, you're not hearing anything from Marco Rubio, you're not hearing anything from any of the Gang of Eight regarding this topic, is because the amount of phone calls from angry, unhinged people is a lot. I have it on good authority that some of these offices are inundated with these phone calls, and it's now gotten to a point where they're worried. Some lawmakers might be worried that they stepped into this UFO mud hole a little too deeply. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what plays out. I'm just guessing on that. As far as lawmakers, possibly backing out of this, but I know for sure that their staffers have been inundated with crazy people. That's for sure. And when you have people like Tim Burchett publicly saying that people like David Grush he was warned about by his staffers. So people within the intelligence community are calling lawmakers' staffers and telling them, hey, make sure that your representative knows about this guy. Here's what we know. Here's what we could share. This is why we don't think he's a good source of information. Be careful if you're going to publicly come out and support him. So those things are what's happening behind the scenes, you guys. And then you've got, the UFO lead heads, the big mouthpieces screaming at the top of their lungs that this is about to get squashed. So maybe it is. I won't believe it until the NDAA has been passed. And I won't believe it until D. Dean Johnson actually says it's been passed with these amendments. So we'll get into, so much to get into. We'll get into Ross Coulthart here in a second. I wanted to cover, so this is what Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times said. One source familiar with the negotiation told Liberation Times, quote, when supposed leaders the American people's interests, when supposed leaders, I think what it's supposed to say, when supposed leaders use the American people's interest as their fodder, we should be reminded of what sparked the American Revolution in the first place. These individuals would be wise to remember that, end quote. Who the fuck gave Christopher Sharp that quote? And why would a news, and I use that term very loosely. In fact, I take it back. It's not news. Why would a tabloid get a quote with one source familiar with the negotiations? Who's that? Is that a lawmaker? Is that somebody telling you they're close to the negotiations? Whoever is negotiating this is giving his mouthpiece this quote. You tell everyone when their supposed leaders use the American people's interest as their fodder, that they should be reminded of what sparked the American Revolution in the first place. These individuals would be wise to remember that. When you put it like that, I wonder why they keep getting phone calls from crazy people. I wonder why. I wonder why your movement is being undermined by your very own words. When you incite with words like this, it's so dangerous. Especially with the community that you're giving these words to. This is their permission. This is their ammunition, because they know who backs Christopher Sharp. It's Jeremy Corbell. It's Lou Elizondo. It's Sean Cahill. Did a whole press tour for Chris Sharp. Went on many shows to tell everyone how wonderful the Liberation Times was, because he was preparing for shit like this, because he knew that they needed a puppet to put out their information. So I'm wondering, who said this, Christopher Sharp? What American? Because here's the thing. I wonder if this is borderline. It's illegal to start a revolution within your own government. And these are words that incite stuff like that. I mean, what are you hoping that a UFO believer takes away when they read something like this? You think maybe they call their representatives and say, hey, I want to remind you what sparked the American Revolution in the first place. If you don't give us truth on the alien bodies and the craft, you'd be wise to remember what caused that in the first place, and you better be transparent with us. Can you imagine the staffer that gets that phone call? I wish Christopher Sharp and the Liberation Times would take their enormous head out of their tiny asshole. And then you back it up with this. And we played this like a week ago. Somebody had leaked this. I guess that UFO podcast has Patreon members that leak stuff a couple weeks ahead of time, because that's the great thing about the Patreon membership with that propaganda podcast, is that you get early access to shit like this. And as an American citizen and taxpayer, these words that Ross Coulthart says here are so incendiary, and they piss me off so much, because he's not an American citizen. And we're just going to play the clip and explain why this is so, it's an insult to anyone's intelligence. And if you buy anything that this guy is saying, shame on you. Shame on an American journalistic media entity like News Nation to hire someone like this when he says incendiary words like this to a mentally unstable community. Not everyone, but quite a bit of folks. So let's listen to what he has to say.
And if there's been this cover-up, if there's been this lying going on where certain individuals in the intelligence community and the defense community have essentially...
Hold on a second.
...conspired with...
I got to do my thing. I'll start that from the beginning. But fair use. There we go. Hold on. Fair use. This is transformative work. We are educating the public on the videos that we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. There we go. Put that there. And then we'll do that. Okay, I'll start this from the beginning. And again, Ross Coulthart is talking about UFOs. If there's been this cover-up, if people have been lying about UFOs.
Been this lying going on where certain individuals in the intelligence community and the defense community have essentially conspired with sections of private aerospace to criminally, illegally conceal stuff from congressional oversight. Well, not only should they be tarred and feathered and dragged around Washington, D.C. and stoned behind a Humvee, they should also be named and shamed.
Okay. He is calling for American citizens to be tarred and feathered, dragged behind a Humvee, and stoned. Usually when you get stoned publicly, it's usually stoned to death. And just to really hit home, I wanted to share the history of these two tactics. One of them could be seen as a metaphor. The other is definitely not used as a metaphor at all. And as a matter of fact, is something that's still done to this day. So tar and feathering is a form of public torture and punishment used to enforce unofficial justice or revenge. It was used in feudal Europe and its colonies in the early modern period, and as well as an early American frontier, mostly as a type of mob vengeance. So when I say title of video, mob leader asks for violence, this is what I'm referring to. The victim would be stripped naked or stripped to the waist, wood tar, sometimes hot, was then either poured or painted onto the person while they were immobilized. The victim then either had feathers thrown on them or was rolled around on a pile of feathers so that they could be stuck to the tar. The image of a tarred and feather outlaw remains a metaphor for severe public criticism. So you say, Lou, that's not too bad. You know, tar and feather, no big deal. It's just a non-American journalist calling for the tar and feathering of American veterans, intelligence officials, citizens. But it gets even better. Then he says, and I'll just play it again, because might as well use
conceal stuff.
His words.
Where certain individuals in the intelligence community and the defense community have essentially conspired with sections of private aerospace to criminally, illegally conceal stuff from...
Criminally and illegally conceal stuff? You're the journalist. You're supposed to uncover this illegal and criminal activity. And you did. You're sitting on it. You're sitting on the illegal and criminal activity, and the craft's so big that it can't be moved. So are you advocating to tar and feather yourself and be dragged behind a Humvee to be stoned to death? Is that what you're asking for? Because you're literally sitting on this stuff. You're sitting on the big secret, according to you and multiple sources. I'm not making that up. You said that. You said that, Ross Coulthart. Not me, you. And now you're asking for intelligence community employees and contractors to be tarred and feathered and drugged behind a Humvee in Washington, D.C. for all to see. Did you want to televise it too, Ross? Do you think? Let's go to stoning and what the definition of stoning here and who uses it. Stoning, well, let's play the rest of the clip.
From congressional oversight. Well, not only should they be tarred and feathered and dragged around Washington, D.C. and stoned behind a Humvee.
Stoned behind a Humvee. Stoning or lapidation is a method of capital punishment where a group throws stones at a person until the subject dies from blunt trauma. It has been attested as a form of punishment for grave misdeeds since ancient times. In recent times, stoning has been legal or customary punishment in Iran, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Mauritania, Saudi Arabia, the Sudan, Yemen, Nigeria, Afghanistan, Brunei, Pakistan, Quran Valley. The United States is none of those places, Ross. We don't tar and feather anymore. And we certainly don't drag people behind Humvees in our nation's capital. We don't drag out intelligence community officials. We don't drag out people who we think are hiding alien technology, even though you're sitting on it. You're the journalist. You're the one supposed to be responsible for revealing these things, Ross. Why is an actor telling you how to do your job? It's insane to think that you're a champion in this community. You're a leading voice for this mob. It's insane. It's really insane. So when you add those three tweets together, and then earlier today, you had Christopher Mellon 2 hours ago. Unfortunately, my understanding is that the Schumer Rounds Amendment is poised to be shot down on Monday by Republican leadership on the House Armed Services Committee. The committee that we were asked to target and asked to take this topic more seriously and look at this with a serious eye and a scientific eye and an independent eye, now is the enemy. Why? Is it because we got too close to the truth? Or is it because a whole bunch of crazy people are calling the office and threatening lawmakers? Which one's more likely? This is the last opportunity for interested constituents to make their voice heard on the issue. This is it, folks. This is it. Is this why they moved the goalpost to 2030? Because they knew this was coming? Is this numinous November? Where's your flute? Where's your flute? Ryan Robbins? Where is it, buddy? You gonna flute to this one? This is Dean Johnson, who, by the way, if any podcast out there, Rogan, Concrete, Danny Jones, Julian, our new buddy, I'm forgetting his last name, Julian Dory. If you want to get to the bottom of the birth of this whole thing, talk to Dean Johnson. He is hands down foremost expert on UAP legislation out there. Nobody knows more than this guy. He's also the authority when it comes to Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Bob Lazar. If you want to see all of the lies, web, manipulation, hoaxing, bullshit, for 4 decades spanning empire that is the Knapp era, I guess we'll call it, go do yourself a favor and look at all of his research and please try and get an interview with Dean Johnson. If any of you guys are out there watching. So this is Dean Johnson absolutely destroying Christopher Sharp's claims on the new legislation. So Christopher Sharp in a tweet, and it's great because he takes the tweet and he adds all of the sections in the bill that directly contradict what Christopher Sharp is saying. So, get some water. So you guys can't really see it. I'll blow it up. Anyway. So he writes, number one, no requirement to examine technical issues such as non-combustion propulsion. So that's what Christopher Sharp's complaining is not in the bill. He writes on this, section 1683, required study of UAP propulsion, aerodynamic control, and power generation. That's in the bill. Section 1683 F1. No accountability or explanation required for agencies that withhold UAP data. Section 1683 HI4 required UAP office director to notify designated congressional leaders of, quote, any instances in which data related to UAP was not provided to the office, end quote. Number three, no mention of the threat posed to nuclear assets, which may represent an urgent national security risk. And again, he posted this November 25th, 2023. Section 1683 addresses different types of nuclear assets in subparagraph M, N, and O. Number four, no reference to unclassified public briefings. Section 1683 H3 required an unclassified annual report public, which may include classified annex. Number five, no study into the physiological impact of UAP, which could indeed be impacting military personnel. This is a big one. Quote, in the bill, an assessment of any health-related effects at section 1683 H2K mandate to track and analyze incidents of, quote, adverse physiological effects, end quote. Appeared in section 1683 B1, mandate for Secretary of Defense and DNI to ensure access to data on, quote, physiological effects. Oh my God, it's in there. Number six, no provision for the recruitment of contractors or civilian experts. Section 1683 provided for authority for UAP office, quote, to draw on the special expertise of persons outside of the federal government. And that's a good one, because that one I also had wrong. So it's good to get straightened out on that one. And it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change what you thought was right based off of facts. So that's comforting, right? That they're putting in there that they're going to draw expertise from persons outside the federal government. But who? That's my concern, because if they're retired ex-DOD guys like, I don't know, Ryan Graves, Tim Gallaudet, Gary Nolan, Sean Cahill, Lou Elizondo, Avi Loeb. The list goes on and on and on and on. I've gone over that list a billion times. So it's comforting, but at the same time, it's also terrifying, because that could open the door, a provision like that. I don't know. I'd like to maybe get clarification from Dean, but I'm wondering if a provision like that would open organizations like Americans for Safe Aerospace, the Galileo Project, and every other one that comes underneath that. The Soul Foundation. So worried, but also kind of like, yeah, it's in there. Number seven, no requirement to consult foreign nations. Section 1683B7 imposes a UAP office, quote, duty of coordinating with allies and partners of the United States as appropriate, end quote. So all of those things are included. They're all in there. And this guy is, I don't know why they're telling him to tweet stuff out like this. I don't get it. And that's why I think it's almost, but, again, coming from, I don't know what to think, and we're just going to have to wait until everything settles once the NDAA has been signed, and then we'll talk about it as fact then. But in a way, it does seem like they're trying to garner, and they've done this a few times, where they rile up the mob to go after someone, something, some initiative, and then when the dust settles, it didn't turn out to be that big deal at all, and they ended up getting usually what they wanted in the first place. And here we are, we have a direct mouthpiece to these guys talking about all of the things that are not in the bill and all of the things that people should be calling and asking for, and here they are in the bill, quoted where they are exactly in the section of the bill. And for what? again, like when the bill goes through, I think you're going to get a numinous November of flute playing, because maybe they're managing expectations in a way. They're putting out this expectation that, guys, this is going to fail if you don't call, if you don't do this, blah, 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 blah. And then when it was going to go through anyway, because again, the National Defense Authorization Act is a bill that always gets approved and signed by the president every single year. The bill is massive. There's a lot of ways to sneak in little legislative things that are, for example, OSAP programs, okay, $22 million programs here and there, funding of an office here and there, funding of something like that. This is where the military gets their erasers and pencils and pay all of the budget for everything. So you now have a UAP office and they need money. They need money to operate. They need money to pay people. They need equipment. They need all sorts of stuff. So chances are that an amendment introduced by Chuck Schumer is going to pass. Now, it may not pass exactly as the amendment is written, but I think some version of it will pass, a version that will be just fine as far as trying to get whatever information that people are trying to get out of the federal government. And it's going to pass. And then these guys are going to do this huge touchdown dance. Like, we did it, you guys. You see, we do have the power, even though they didn't do anything to influence this. All they did was just call people to annoy them. Or the flip side of that is, yeah, maybe this amendment is about to get killed. And they're trying to now galvanize people to call, make sure that this bill passes. Or this amendment passes. I don't know. I called my lawmakers and told them I would be very careful with what you approve when it comes to the UAP legislation amendment, because I think it opens a huge door for wasteful government tax dollar spending. And I don't want you guys looking into it. That's what I called and said. So I recommend, if you feel the same way, do the exact same thing. And, apologize for all of the, well, I don't know if you need to apologize, but maybe just ask them if you could request, especially if it's like a Senator Gillibrand or someone like that, can you please stop inferring that these things are real? Because it's fuel for a conspiracy theory fire that people are trying to put out. People are trying to get people to think more rationally, more clearly. And I mean, I think this is a great exercise in bad information, because it's just wild how information spreads. I mean, look at MH370. In 5 months, that has made its way all the way up to some pretty big podcasts and platforms. And he's turned it into a YouTube following that's almost 10,000 subs. Like, he's got 30 videos, so he's just built his whole entire platform and influence, and looks like a way to make some income and money. We'll get into that. We'll get into it. But, this idea that, again, an Australian journalist is calling, and I'm just going to play it one more time, because, again, this is just some sick shit. Like, it's insulting. It's a slap in the face to intelligence. And honestly, you're calling for this to be done to you, Ross Coulthart, because you are literally illegally hiding this from the world. You are now culpable to illegally hiding this stuff. It's your job. You're a journalist, man. That's your job, to reveal big secrets that you've said many times are world-changing. The world deserves to know. Yet you're hiding it from us. When are you going to admit that's a lie, Ross Coulthart? The UFO is so big that you can't move it. That's what's really going on here, isn't it? It's a lie that you just refuse to admit. You didn't think it was going to get out of control like it did when you said it on Project Unity. You were trying to give him a nugget because he's your buddy, he's your pal. You want to give him something that's going to make 100,000 views and make him some money, right? Million views, make Jay from Project Uni some money. Because, man, that guy, all he cares about is how many views he gets, he told me in a private message that I publicly tweeted out. It's his very last message to me. Who the hell am I to tell him good luck with as many followers that he has, more than me, both on YouTube and Twitter? I mean, just some really egotistical bullshit. Really egotistical bullshit from a guru and free thinker and, spiritual human. Project Unity, trying to unite humanity, but can't take real questions and criticism about the things he's seen, experienced, and the people that have bought him laptops like Ross Coulthart.
And if there's been this cover-up, if there's been this lying going on where certain individuals in the intelligence community and the defense community have essentially conspired with sections of private aerospace to criminally, illegally conceal stuff from congressional oversight, well, not only should they be tarred and feathered and dragged around Washington, D.C. and stoned behind a Humvee, they should also be named and shamed.
Named and shamed. Where on News Nation? You're an asshole. Such an asshole. And nobody has the balls to say it to you. Nobody. I would say it to you. Straight up to your face. All of your faces. I'd love for any one of you to strike me. See where that goes for you. But to say something like this over UFOs, it's insane. And that's why conspiracy theories like this jerk are still red hot embers in the zeitgeist, whatever, fireplace. I don't know, whatever it is. That analogy sucked. But okay, so this is one of the quotes from what we're about to talk about. My butthole looks like your butthole. That's one of Ashton's defenses of the clearly digitally created wormhole special effect, that is pretty much a 100% match. Yeah, my butthole looks like your butthole. I mean, that was a legitimate defense. I mean, some people came out of UFO Twitter retirement just to talk about that. Okay, so, oh man, where do I start? I guess we'll start here. This is the official. Okay, so this is actually the moment. Okay, great. This is the whole moment in the podcast. And again, I'm going to say fair use. This is fair use. We are commenting on the videos that we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. I have a link to the entire interview in the description below. So this is the Danny Jones podcast. This is his the 21-minute clip of Danny Jones went out and found a legitimate special effects house called Corridor Digital. They have a YouTube channel. We can look it up right now. And where they basically, in a great way, like all production houses, usually the way they make money is to rent out their equipment. But like all smart people, they have found a way to also monetize their business through a YouTube channel. So it's called Corridor Digital, I believe. Yep, this is it. Okay, so they've got 9.88 million subscribers. These guys do special effects. They do animation. I've seen this one where they recreated the Spider-Man scene of him getting pulled, like all sorts of stuff. They've done, they all sorts of stuff. Okay. Basically, again, special effects experts this is their business. This is what they've done for decades. They are professionals, okay? They were given the Ashton Forbes video, okay? The same links that they used, that Ashton has, or the same videos that this guy Nico has from Corridor Digital, okay? And he went through it frame by frame and gave his opinion and was impressed. Fakes are allowed to be good. That's the whole point of faking something, is you want to fucking fool people. That's the whole point of faking something, everybody. Hello. Okay. And when the video is put out and it takes 70 days, I believe, 70 days to put out this video, something like that. It was 2 or 3 months before when they said they got it from when it was posted after the Malaysian airline fiasco. Whoa, where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
The guys at Corridor.
Let's do this on
say
YouTube. There we go. All right, let me again put this up. And shout out to Dorian and to Danny Jones and those guys. Dorian specifically, he's been really cool in private messages, and he sees everything, man. He sees what's happening. And I hope that these questions get better in these moments with people like this. I hope that they hold, I think they will. I think they'll hold the same standard that they did here. There were some moments here where I think future people in the future who interview, God, what's this stupid guy's name again? Ashton. When they interview Ashton, I think the important thing is that he's got a tendency to bully what the facts are. And he puts a flag in the ground. These are the facts, and I will not be bullied off of these facts. Well, I think he should be bullied off of those facts because they're not facts. And I think this conversation highlights it perfectly. I'm going to play the first part of this, and then I'm going to step out. I'm going to take a little break here for a second. I'm going to play this for you guys, and then I'll be listening so I can come back and comment on this, but I got to go pee real quick. Full disclosure. See, I'm honest with my audience. So anyway, going to play this, and then I'll be right back.
The guys at Corridor Digital, they are working on a video. They have a series on there. They have a separate channel with like 14 million subscribers where they do this thing called, this series called VFX Artists React to different things like UFO videos. They did all the Navy videos.
Yep.
And I talked to him a couple days ago, and they're actually already working on something like this. And I told him you were coming in, and I said, like, look, this guy, like we talked about, you're kind of like figuring this thing out in real time. Just started working on it a couple months ago, and we're trying to get to the bottom of this, if this is real or not. What are your guys' opinions? And he made a video.
Okay.
Are you open to watching it?
Let's watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have it on the, he sent it to me.
I got it.
Not that long ago. It was today. Okay, here it is. So this is Nico from Corridor Digital.
Sounds good.
Hey everybody, my name is Nico Peringer. You might recognize me from Visual Effects Artists React. We take a look at visual effects every week on our show, on our Corridor Crew YouTube channel, and we talk about what makes them cool, what makes them not work, all that good stuff. But I've also personally done visual effects for many years on YouTube since like 2009, 2010. And I wanted to take a look at these shots. Danny asked me to take a look at them and apply my visual effects artist eye. So first and foremost, taking a look at these shots, they've been linked to Malaysian Airlines 370. People have said that this is UFO footage of the airline disappearing. And one of the things people say that makes them legitimate is how.
One quick thing that he said that caught my attention is that he specifically has been doing special effects on YouTube. So that's since 2009. So that's almost, 15 years? almost 15 years. And not to mention all of the other people that work at this company, their combined experience, again, decades of special effects experience.
How long it would theoretically take to do these visual effects. So looking at these shots, in my point of view, these are shots that you could do in a couple of days. The background is mostly a static image that's been just...
Okay, so keep that in mind. This is something that would take a couple of days.
Animated over with a 3D model of an airplane and a couple objects orbiting that airplane. These are not challenging shots to do in visual effects. All you have to do is basically lay a path out for an object to follow. In this case, it could be an airplane, and a path for those objects orbiting around it, and a particle emitter for the contrails. The background is not animated at all. So this satellite point of view shot could easily do in a day. Likewise, the thermal vision shot, which is a little more complicated, you could also theoretically do that in about 2 days of work, maybe a day of work, especially if you had the airplane model already on hand.
Is he going to
The
actually
thing
do
that
any
strikes
work,
me
or is
about
he just
this
gonna give his
shot that
opinion?
makes
Hold on,
it,
pause it.
I guess, higher up.
We might have some commentary in between this. Sorry, what did you say?
So is this going to actually do the work? Because just having a guy claim it, and the issue first right off the bat is he's talking about using today's technology, right? But we've already proven these videos go back to 2014. You'd have to build a 3D rendered environment just to begin to do this work, because we have 2 different cameras from 2 different angles. Okay. Just to render that using computer processing from 2014 would take several weeks.
But
right off the bat, we can already dismiss his claims.
We can already dismiss them.
Yeah.
First of all, it wouldn't take several weeks. It would not take several weeks from computer processing. Jurassic Park was made in fucking 1993. It didn't take them several weeks to process those scenes. I'm telling you right now. It didn't take several weeks. And that was the 90s. 2014, you could probably process those in a few hours, I'm thinking, depending on what kind of computer you had. This guy's just talking out of his ass. But not only that, so he's like, well, is this guy just going to do anything? Or is he actually going to recreate something? Is he actually going to try and do it with using that technology? First of all, we don't know exactly specifically what editing software or special effects software this person used to create these things. But let's just say we did know that. Let's say we could find a computer that had the same software and we could match it perfectly. And then we had a special effects person put it all together. You're saying it's going to take, according to you, at least 70 days, right? If you're going to fake it, at least that long. So let's say it takes 70 days. Okay, so it takes 70 days. It's you got a CGI professional telling you that this is fake, and you automatically just dismiss it like it's crazy, dude. Nobody is going to recreate this, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a waste of time and money for them. Why are they going to recreate something that's obviously fake and take time out of their paid schedule for at least 3 days using today's technology? You're asking them to use 2014 editing software, which I'm telling you, in 2014, Final Cut Pro was pretty awesome. Premiere Pro was pretty awesome. So it's not crazy different from today. The processing power is different, but even from 2014, like there are some killer processors that could have done this easily in a couple of days, I think, a couple of weeks tops. And so nobody is going, are you going to pay them, Ashton? Are you willing to pay those special effects people to take time out of their day to recreate a completely original scene that looks exactly like this bullshit you're promoting? For what? To prove you wrong? Nobody cares, man. You're not that important. This topic is not you. Just like Danny Jones said, you are not this topic. Let it go, man. Separate yourself from this video, because again, we're only 2 minutes into this, man, but you can't do it. You're immediately, as soon as you see the video, you're laughing at it. Like this guy who's been doing special effects since 2009 at least, publicly. And you're just spitting him off, and it gets into it. It's just so silly.
You'd have to build a 3D rendered environment just to begin to do this work, because we have 2 different cameras from 2 different angles. Okay. Just to render that using computer processing from 2014 would take several weeks.
But
so right off the bat, we can already dismiss his claims.
It wouldn't take several weeks.
Right off, we can already dismiss him.
Yeah. Let's see how he does.
Okay.
Keep going.
For higher quality.
He's already dismissed his claims 2 minutes and 49 seconds into it. He's said that this professional is not professional. That I know more in 5 months than this guy knows in a 15-year career. Okay.
Is that the texture, if this is a VFX shot, which it is, the texture work on the airplane to give us that thermal look looks great. But here's why I think these are visual effects shots, right? So first and foremost, looking at the shot, the satellite feed, there is no movement in the background. It is just a static image.
Pause it right there.
Here.
So we already established it's a SIBR system, and there actually is movement. It's actually been proven as well that if you take 15-second snapshot, you can actually see movement in the clouds as well. So
have you shown this in a video?
Yeah, we can show it right now.
Okay, let's finish this and we'll show that out. We'll show it after. So
already I'm starting to lose credibility in him because he's already made 2 false statements, and we're only at 1 minute in.
Okay,
let's keep going.
Let's keep a note of that.
So that's not a false statement. The clouds are not moving. I don't care what intervals you take it at. So let me get this straight. It picks up the plane in real time, but it can't pick up the clouds in real time behind it. Those come in intervals when this system works. How does that work?
What of that? You claim that the background is not static. There is movement that's visible. Yeah. Okay.
Let's keep going.
And you can see that the clouds are unchanging. They don't move at all. If those little white flecks in the background are waves in the ocean, they don't move at all.
And that's what this guy does. He sneaks in. Yeah, they do. No, they don't. Yep. This is what he does, man. It's really sneaky. It's really pushy without getting angry, without appearing emotional. It's clinical the way this guy operates, man. It's a little scary, if I'm being honest. It's very concerning. Again, his military background does not give me any confidence that his intentions are in the right place. I don't know. He's very vague about that military clearance and why he has one. He has, according to him, a security clearance, a top secret security clearance, and that he's checked this topic. He's ran by his superiors, and they're all okay with it. They're like, go for it, buddy. Go for it, Ashton, with your top secret clearance. Go talk about a fucking fake video on YouTube and on podcasts and promote the shit out of it, buddy. Just don't tell anybody where you work. You can tell them that you have a security clearance and make it spooky. Make it real spooky. And make sure when you do talk to them that you stay calm and you get your point across. Don't let anybody budge you from what you think the facts are. It's weird.
If this was being filmed from a high altitude airplane, you would have movement from the airplane. If this is being filmed from a satellite, you would definitely have movement from the satellite.
And just pause it right there, because again, we already established this is a SIBR system, which is actually a computer program that's pulling this data, and that's the reason why we don't see as much general movement, and that's why we don't see the movement of the satellite either. So let's keep going.
Right.
I just
so
thought
stupid.
of something. This video is supposed to be 6 frames a second, right?
Right.
Yeah, the background.
Which means that all of any motion, any clouds would actually be moving faster than you would typically see.
There's that too.
You're right. It would not be smooth. It would be jittery.
So the reason why that would be far, you're going to have very little movement there, is that the satellite's 1,000 miles away or 1,000 kilometers away. So if we were to go look outside at clouds that are very far away, we're going to see very little apparent movement of them. This is about 10 to 100 times further away than that as well. So this actually accounts for why you would see so little movement, is that the data is coming from satellites that are extremely far away. Anyway, let's keep going.
See, like, that's what he does. That's not true. That's inaccurate. Anyway, let's keep going. I've established what the truth is here. Let's keep going. That's what he does. And that's why he needs to sit in front of someone that's going to go, no, we're not going to keep going. That's inaccurate. And here's why. Here's the optics. And here's why I know that information. he needs to be intellectually crushed into a can, a recyclable can. Right now he's been kicked, he's been thrown, you know, he's got some dents in him, he's kind of halfway there, but this bullshit lives on, and it expands back to its normal form if it gets enough strength, and then we got to do this shit all over again. But again, like all of these conversations, the internet's like, yo, be careful with this conversation. Because there's a lot of conspiracy theories around this particular airline flight, because it is mysterious. Again, there are genuine mysteries to this. It is very, very strange and very weird how this flight disappeared. But it wasn't aliens, and it wasn't the top secret tech that teleports people to another place. Definitely wasn't either one of those two things.
Like 20,000 miles an hour. And just for reference here, here's footage, real-time footage, taken today from the International Space Station, and you can see how fast it's moving. We can see the clouds going by.
Right.
Just to jump to a different point in time.
If you want to pause
and if
there,
it's farther away, it would move faster. It would move faster.
Up as well as that satellite's much closer to the ground as well. So
which satellite?
That one that they were just looking at there.
The space station's closer to the ground than the Sibber satellite?
Than the satellite, I believe. Yeah, if I remember correctly, actually, you could even see, I think, the numbers down there.
I love Danny's face in some of
these twice as close
these moments
there as well, which is why there's so much apparent movement from the
Can you find out how far the space station is from Earth?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to say that everything is relative. So when you say it's twice as close, that means that the clouds would theoretically be moving twice as slow, right? But in the video, it does seem to.
The perspective changes 8 times in the video as well. So, and I will prove that the videos that they was moved. None of this is anything new that we haven't already debunked so far. But let's keep going.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure this out, like you are, man.
Yeah.
I want to hear why you think this is bullshit.
Sure. No, let's keep going.
All right.
Space station, a wider angle. Like, we can see the movement. We can see the camera, because satellites don't sit still. They're moving very, very fast around the Earth in order to be able to stay in orbit. So if that's the case, you know, jumping back to this supposed satellite view here, you know, we can see it is completely static. Nothing is moving. There's no parallax.
Are you watching?
Like that. The waves are moving. The clouds aren't even evolving. It's a static
I mean, these are supposed to be white caps on the ocean. These little dots.
Point of view, throw it in your background, put your 3D models over it.
Now one of them goes away.
Call it a day. So it really stands out to me that the background doesn't move, because it should, especially if it's a satellite or an airplane. We should have parallax. It is impossible for it to be standing still.
Well, let's pause it real quick.
Yeah.
The other thing that stands out to me about this shot is that.
Pause it, Steve. All right, I just want to make sure that we're keeping track. All right, I know you're like searching through your computer right now, but I want to make sure
I'm listening. We do have parallax as well. We have a video that proves there is parallax without any.
We have a video from where?
Whatsoever.
From who?
So,
okay.
From where?
I mean, if you want to switch over to my screen real
Who made
quick.
this video?
Let's finish this. I just want you to pay attention to this. I don't want you to miss anything.
I'm not missing anything.
All right, because I see you're ripping through the computer right now.
So far, nothing's new.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
We can tell that these clouds, well, they've been taken, they're from daytime. They have sunlight on them. You can see the sunlight illuminating them and falling through the cloud. But Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappeared between 1 and 2 a.m. So it would be nighttime.
So let's pause it right there.
Let's
pause it right there, because there's like 3 false statements right there together. The plane went dark at 17:21, which is 1:21 a.m. Mm-hmm. According to the official narrative, the plane went missing at 8 in the morning when there was sun on it, which is why early on I thought that this would have happened in the South Indian Ocean. But as we've talked about already, this is a false color IR that's being taken at night. There's no cloud. There's no shadows anywhere.
So you claim this happened at what time exactly?
1840 UTC,
which is 2 a.m.
2:40 a.m.
2:40 a.m.
Which is at nighttime. So he's making an opinion here, but unfortunately in this case, it's not an educated one.
It's not an opinion. He's saying it's happening like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, which is right. Okay, so he's off by 40 minutes. Who gives a shit? It's at nighttime. Okay, it's at nighttime, and those clouds should not have rays going through them at all. There should be no rays through the clouds, even if it's a crazy moon.
So let's keep going, though.
Well, this is just nighttime photography taken with, a really sensitive camera. But there's 2 issues with that. One is that if it was nighttime photography, you still have a lot of light on these clouds. You can see they're getting a directional light source that then falls off. So it would have to be a full moon with a very sensitive camera. But the other issue is that if we look at these objects spinning around the plane and the plane itself.
And what's funny is he's not really even paying attention. Like, he's already seen some of these things come at him. So, you know, he's rifling through his computer trying to find videos to contradict with the videos that he got off Reddit and people that work at Marvel that he's never spoken to, never sat down with, never met, don't actually know if they work at Marvel. Could be just saying they work at Marvel.
There's no motion blur. Because the thing is, when it's nighttime, when you're trying to film with photons, with light, you need to have the shutter stay open for longer on the camera to let enough photons in to get a bright frame like this. If you've ever taken a picture at night with your phone and it takes a second to take that picture, it's doing a long exposure, it's letting in as much light as it can. So what that means when you have a shutter that's open for a long time, it means you get a lot of motion blur. And there is no motion blur on these objects that are moving very fast. For a long time, so if this was taken under the full moon, I mean, we could always check to see if it was a full moon then. But if this was taken under the full moon, which it's not, there's no camera technology that can do this, even at nighttime under a full moon. At the very least, if you want it to look like this, you'd have to have the shutter open for so long that none of these objects would show up. They'd be moving too fast. They would be blurred, faint blurs that you wouldn't even be able to see. Yeah. Let's jump over to...
I mean, it's like, you ever taken a picture of the night sky and you leave the shutter open for a really long time and it looks like the sky is bleeding, the stars are bleeding across the sky or something like that. That's what he's talking about. So for those clouds to light up like that from a full moon, you wouldn't be able to see anything because they would have to let in all of the light. It's a picture of clouds in the daylight that has been decolorized and manipulated to look like a thermal camera system on some classified satellite that happened to be in the same area when this flight went down.
At the end here, when there's a teleportation blast. So the other thing here, especially if this was nighttime, this flash here would illuminate the clouds.
It does.
It doesn't.
It does not.
It doesn't.
The clouds.
It doesn't.
The pixels get brighter.
It's not a false statement. It does not illuminate the clouds at all. At all. At all. He's lying. He's just straight up lying. He's lying about the parallax effect. He's lying about it being a satellite image. He doesn't even know that 100% for sure. There's no source, dude. This is an Anon account that follows 17 people, 16 of which are all UFO alien accounts. Why would anybody trust this account for an accurate video of anything? But this guy, Ashton Forbes, is dissing a special effects professional because he's looked at this for 5 months and this video came from a mysterious Anon account. If you're falling for this shit, if you're propagating this shit, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Or you're just looking for clicks and sucking off the teat of this jerk off. That's all you're doing. Because he's got 10,000 subscribers in 5 months almost. He knows how to get subs up real easy. Real easy.
Pause. All right, let's watch. Stop going through your computer.
I got it. I just need to make some notes because I want to be able to address all these points because every single thing can be addressed.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're paying attention to it.
I am.
Around it, as we see.
You can see the illumination, right? You can see it.
But that's just a compositing trick where you just select an area of your image and you brighten it. What is not happening is we're not seeing any new light direction. We're not seeing shadows being cast in a different direction. No parts of the cloud that were dark are now taking on light and showing us a different volumetric shape of the cloud.
Right.
This is
just like lightning
classic compositing. We've done it all the time with our fake muzzle flashes when we do gunfights, where you just select part of your image and you brighten it up. Now, you could do your own lighting on clouds if you rendered volumetric clouds. If you've watched a Marvel film, you've seen an explosion in a modern movie, those CGI explosions, well, those are called volumetrics. You're even seeing it in Unreal Engine now for the sky and how the sky is rendered. In 2014, we still had volumetrics. They're a little more difficult to do, but in this case, there's no volumetrics in action here. It's just, you don't see it from the lighting, you see no parallax shift from the camera, which shouldn't be just completely static in the sky. It should be moving. I mean, this is a background photo. So here's the thing that is the biggest reason this is visual effects. And this was, I really should have started with this, but then it just kind of be the end of the conversation, which is the teleportation of the airplane at the end.
Exactly. If you lead with this teleportation part, it's the end of the conversation. That's where it should stop every single time. And the reason why is because this is a graphic that it's already a stock image, so to speak, within the special effects world. It's not a hard thing to find.
This shockwave, which looks really cool. But this is stock footage, and it's stock footage from the 90s. I can show you the original stock footage element.
Hold on, watch.
Here it is right here.
Yep, let's watch it together. That's not the same.
And it's a really cool stock footage element, pretty obscure. You haven't seen a lot of it. But if you
That's not the same. That's not the same one. I know. No, you don't. He knows. He just pulled it from his archive of shit that he's got just stored away, man. Because he's an actual special effects person. Because when he needs to pull up a teleportation graphic, he's got one on file somewhere. When he needs bullets, he's got them. When he needs explosions, he's got them. He's got them at the ready because he's an editor. He's a special effects editor. You are just some schmo who's been looking at this for 5 months and has convinced himself that he is some kind of crusader.
Line it up over the footage here, which I did. So here's that stock footage frame.
This
is end of conversation.
And I'm going to switch in my opacity between the stock footage frame and the infrared thermal frame for the UFO video. Well, if we go back and forth, we see that they perfectly line up.
They definitely not perfectly
The
lined.
ripples are all in this same spot. The burnt-in dots here in the same spot. It's
wow.
It's the exact same.
Wait. All right,
like
pause it.
there's no
It's the exact same.
Pause it.
It's the exact same.
So as a statement of fact, those do not match. And all
As a statement of fact, they 100% match. As a statement of fact, they 100% match. 100%. They match. 100%. So Ashton is lying there. That is not a fact.
And all I have to say to counter is, how many pixels match? Do we want to
How
ask
many pixels match? How many pixels match? How many pixels match? Guy, nobody knows what the actual source of the video is. If we could get the real video from where it actually came from, then maybe we could start lining up pixels. Okay? Maybe then. But we've got a video of a special effects of a video of this. We have no fucking clue where this came from other than a random anonymous Anon account. So when you say, well, the pixels don't match, that doesn't fucking mean anything, buddy. All of the fringes of this explosion element match to something that existed in the 90s. Literally, perfectly. Now, he will claim, well, the middle doesn't match. What about this part and this part? It's really easy to change the middle of it. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult, man. You're not a special effects expert. You don't know what you're talking about here. And here you are saying you know more than a guy who's been doing this for 15 years.
Ask our expert?
Dude, it is fucking exact.
It's not, though. That's the problem. It's not an exact match. That's the issue.
Look how confident he is. I love Danny Jones's face here. He's like, dude. Dude. Shit.
Spot, the burnt-in dots here.
I just love how he's laughing.
So as a statement of fact, those do not match. And all I have to say to counter is, how many pixels match? Do we want to ask our expert?
Dude, it is fucking...
Look, like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't concede this one, man? You know why he can't? Because the second he does, it's over. If the video is fake, none of the rest of it falls apart immediately. Immediately, like I've been saying now for a couple of weeks. And again, now this is between Ashton and Danny Jones, or excuse me, between Danny Jones and Julian. They interviewed Ashton for 6, 8, almost 9 hours. And in a 9-hour span, he can't get out the hypothesis of what happened to these people. What exactly is the hypothesis? Where did they go if they were teleported? What happened to them when they got there? Is that what you're saying happened? Prove it. Extraordinary evidence require extraordinary evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And these are extraordinary claims. And the evidence tells us the video's bullshit. That's the evidence. That's where we should stop. Right there.
Exact.
It's not, though. That's the problem. It's not an exact match.
It is the exact match.
So
every pixel would have to be in the same spot, and they're not. Now, all I have to say is how many pixels match. That's all I have to say.
No, it's not.
How many pixels match? Oh, that's all I have to say. He's so confident. It's scary. It's scary how confident a guy who knows nothing about special effects is on this topic.
Because look, you're compositing an effect into a new video, right? You're using an effect that was clearly made in the 90s, and you're bringing it onto a video that was produced in 2014, right? Now he's clearly inverting the colors, right? So what's to say there's no expanding of it?
Did he
warping
delete
of
those dots on there as well?
Yeah, show when he's doing the opacity. See those two dots? See the big one and see the little one up top?
Back over to the other one. Yeah,
go back to where he's going over
I actually have we'll go to it later because I actually have the.
Watch.
So you see the extra dots, right?
Yep.
You see, he wants to go. He wants to go to his video. He wants to go to his video that he got on Reddit from a guy. That's a guy who at Marvel. He wants to go to that. He wants to go to that video. The video that he got from a random guy that he doesn't know. He's never met. That is not publicly putting his name or his credentials or his reputation out there. Just a guy that knows more than the special effects guy who's putting his name, his reputation, his company, everything to tell you his professional opinion on something that needs clarification. So which one am I going to go with? I wonder.
Well, if you go back and forth,
they don't. Look, they're there. The black.
I mean, there are like these elements. For those in podcast world, it's an explosion, and at the fringe of these explosions, there are lines, and these lines match up perfectly between the fake video and the composited effect. They are exactly aligned. And even there's like these little dots that also align perfectly on the fringe of this thing. And in the middle of it, it also has a dark circle, okay? Like that's where the warp bubble is or something. And that doesn't match. I'll concede there. But at this point, we already know it's fake. So it's not a stretch to think that somebody took the middle of it, flipped it again, inverted it, discolored it, rotated it, or just pulled something else that doesn't match that part of it. So that way people will have this argument till the end of time. Well, what about that part? This part doesn't match. Again, fakes are allowed to be really good. And this is a good fake. It's got people all fucking divided. I mean, Kim.com just put out $100,000 reward for anybody who will provide the actual footage. I promise you, it will never come. It will never come. Kim.com, you can make it $100 million prize and you'll never get that video because it's fake, dude. It's fake. And you've been had. You look like an idiot. It's okay. Smart people fall for stuff like this all the time. I'm not saying you're smart. I'm just saying.
Black dots right there.
Scroll down just a little, keep your mouse right near the. I mean, I've got the version of this, so no worries. Just keep going.
100,000 to prove it's fake. It's been proven to be fake. It matches with a special effects fucking. I'm not yelling at you. I know you're just saying to correct. I'm just like, it's already fake, Kim.com. Who are you going to give the money to? Good luck. I mean, it's so silly, man.
Let's see what else
perfectly
he's got.
line up, right?
It's perfect.
It's not though. You see that the black actually does not line up, right? You see how it's not the same on the the edges, how it's like close, but it's not a perfect match. So this is the reason that.
So how are all of those little wave ripples? How are those so perfectly matching what's in the video?
Because all dispersal patterns, all dispersal patterns look the same. This is like saying that This
is where his argument gets just fucking dumb. All dispersion patterns look the same, therefore their dispersion patterns line up to each other no matter in every dispersion ever. In the galaxy, like you'll see, he means in the galaxy. Right? They all have the same fringe, they all have the same outlines because they all do the same thing. He thinks it's like a water droplet in a puddle of water, that all the ripples will be exactly the same.
My butthole is your butthole because they're similar, right?
This
it's not being
also,
dispersal patterns.
Are those so perfectly matching what's in the video?
All dispersal patterns, all dispersal patterns look the same. This is like saying that my butthole is your butthole because they're similar, right? It's not. We don't have the same butthole because of that. In fact, I have a visual effect of a donut that actually better matches than this does, and that's the point. Is that just because shapes are similar, and again, this is one frame, and even on this one frame, it's not a perfect match. You can even tell in the middle, it's not even close. You can see there's extra dots that are added there that don't exist.
Look at Danny's face right now. He's literally taken aback. He's away from the microphone. Like, are you serious right now, buddy? He's insulting him. And he's like, wow, this is happening in real time. This is actually going down. Crazy.
In our video either.
So you're
you
saying
think they deleted them?
So you're saying the explosion that really happened?
It's not an explosion. It's an endothermic event.
The endothermic event that really happened.
How do you know it's an endothermic event? How do you know that? How do you know that?
Happened in 2014 came this close to matching a VFX element produced in the 90s?
Correct. And the people that found this, how did they even find it? They had to use something to search for something to try to find something that was similar so that they could actually come up with this debunk.
Look at his face.
Okay, let's keep playing it.
Yep.
How did they find it? That's what the internet does, man. That's what the internet does. When they see something, they're oh, yeah. I've seen that special effect before. Oh, where is that? Where is that thing? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's exactly the same. There you go. Solved. It happens all the time when it comes to these stupid UFO videos and cases. Like, again, where's the original video? Where's the original video? Somebody? Anybody? Who released this video? The source, please. The source. Can Ashton give us the source of this video? Can you give us the source of the video? He can't. Okay.
So I just want to reiterate, as a statement of fact, these two things do not match. In terms of being a 100% match, you can already see the differences.
As a statement of fact, they 100% match. This guy is wrong.
And where they don't.
I just want to counter that every time he says it.
Okay, but this guy's a VFX guy who's been doing this his entire life.
And I think he discredited himself pretty hard because...
He discredited himself. Yeah, that's right. The 9.98 million subscribers are all going to go away because Ashton Forbes discredited him with bunk-ass UFO videos. Right. Okay. Dude, you're delusional. You've lost it. You've lost the farm. But you're going to get your subscribers. You're going to get your following. You're going to get your platform. You're going to say, you're going to get to do whatever the hell you want now for the next God knows how many years. So God bless you, Ashton Forbes. Godspeed on your stupid, pilgrimage to the bottom. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't believe you're hanging your hat. This is the hill you're going to die on. This one.
He's made, I'm counting here, 8 different factual errors here.
8 different factual
and that's
errors.
Just, we haven't even finished yet.
Okay, let's keep going.
The burnt-in dots here in the same spot.
Except for the ones that aren't.
It's that element. There's no ifs and or buts. That is the exact element that's in the shot, which kind of destroys the whole thing. But it's not really fun just to do this and call it a day. we want to break it down, right?
Going.
If we're going to draw some knowledge from this, if we're going to be scrutinizing and skeptical and scientific about the stuff we're looking at, well, let's look at things that we can use to inform ourselves on whether the stuff is real or fake. So obviously the stock footage element here being pasted into the shot is a great indicator that this is visual effects. But what else might we be looking for? Well, let's jump over to this thermal shot, which is a really fascinating shot here. So a couple things stand out to me on this shot that make me think it's visual effects. First and foremost, if this was actually thermal footage, there's a couple things that are inaccurate. For example, when the smoke trails from the plane,
this is such a great pickup. Like, I never noticed this, and this is such a great pick. Like, this is why you have a special effects guy come to the room and say, "Hey, show me what you notice." This is such a good pickup.
When they stack up on each other, they start to turn green. That would imply they're getting hotter.
Yeah,
just
as
because
it's getting farther away
with each other, which is not how thermals would actually look. In fact, vapor and smoke and all those.
So the vapor or the smoke, whatever it is that's coming out of the plane, and according to Ashton, it's smoke from the fire. The smoke is hot at thousands of feet in the sky to a point where this drone is picking up a heat signature from the smoke trails that are now at this point thousands of feet away from this plane. Couple hundred feet at the very least. Few hundred feet.
All those things in the air don't show up on thermals at all. As we saw in the recent Veritasium video that came out, where they compared night vision technologies, they filled a room with fog from a fog machine, and you can't see Derek at all in that fog.
He's
but
so
when looking
unimpressed.
at it through thermal, you can see him perfectly clear. So with that in mind, these contrails should not be showing up as thick as they are in this thermal vision. Secondly, in the background, the clouds are not quite represented accurately either with thermals. And the biggest thing that stands out to me with thermal vision isn't noisy like this. You know, that's that grain, that noise that you see in footage like this, that's something that happens when you're filming something with very little light and you need to crank the sensitivity on your camera, you need to boost that signal, and it boosts the noise with it. Well, with thermal, the thermal's not being underexposed here, which would create that noise. In fact, if you look at other examples of thermal footage, there's none of that kind of grain on it, because thermals aren't being underexposed. You're not trying to boost up light signals. Even really inexpensive, cheap thermal cameras still don't have that kind of grain. They might have kind of like a fixed pattern on top of like the image that kind of sticks there while this image swims under it, which you can kind of see here. But there's none of that flickering black and white snow kind of grain in that footage. Even looking at that UAP footage from the Pentagon, there's grain, but notice how it's kind of like a fixed pattern of grain that kind of sits there as opposed to flickering all over the image. And the image itself really isn't that flickery.
This is such a great point. Like, this is, again, definitive evidence that this video is faked, that these thermals aren't real. This is an effect that bled onto contrails. And I'm sure that was unintentional.
Nearly as flickery as this thermal footage.
That's the thing. Even when they're really good fakes, there's little slip-ups. And these are only going to get better. Again, this is 2014. You know, so imagine what bullshit this guy's going to be pushing soon enough. Another mystery is going to happen, another spooky incident, and your boy Ashton's going to be all over it because he is the airline spooky investigator. He's on the case, everybody. The guy that used to work for the military, has a security clearance, is very vague about what he does, lived in Malaysia for some strange reason and very vague reason. And now all of a sudden is here to tell the world the truth on all of these spooky mysteries. Do you have a van with a dog and a couple stoners in there? You guys just go from town to town solving all these spooky mysteries?
So these are things that if I were to be critiquing a VFX shot, if I was working on a film and they had given it to me, these are things I would ask them to fix, to improve upon, to make the shot more realistic. But I don't want to just actually rag on the problems here, because there's actually some fantastic work here that is so fantastic, it's engaging people, it's pulling them into the story, and there's a couple things that this is doing really well, that the artists, whoever made these shots, they're executing on it really well. And the first thing is the animation. The animation is perfect, right? It's very realistic to how a plane moves. It's mysterious. I mean, even this
and look at
thermal
this.
drone.
Ashton takes that moment of him saying it's perfect. Like the animation of this airplane is really great. It's great. He's complimenting the video, and Ashton turns that into, well, he said it was perfect. He says that there's mistakes on a perfect video. It's like, you're such an asshole, man. Like, and this is the thing that screams intelligence community to me. Like, this is the thing that an intelligence community guy, a counterintelligence community guy would do. This is kind of the shit that Lou Elizondo would pull sometimes. You know, he would, again, just throw you off or answer questions with this really long expounded thing that's super complicated and nobody understands, and evidence that's not really evidence. It's just the way he bullies you. It's wild, man. It's wild how ardent this guy is.
Own shot here. Like, the way that the camera zooms in, the way we fly through the contrails of the airplane, the camera shake, like all the motion is very, very convincing. And in fact, one thing we've learned when it comes to visual effects is that as long as your motion is convincing, you can get away with almost anything. Like having really realistic CG doesn't help if the motion looks fake. So good motion is a huge, 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 I guess, plus for making us buy something as real. And the animators here did a fantastic job of that motion. The second thing that these artists did that I really admire is they really nailed the look of like degraded footage, right? Like the satellite footage, like the blue and the grain and the dropped frame rate and like the way the mouse clicks and drags around the window and the coordinates update and, you know, like the feel, the texture, the contrast, all these things in this image are just like dialed in to make us feel like it's satellite image. And it's really well done. Same thing with the thermals. Like doing fake thermal vision is not super easy to do. And they really nailed the look here. There's a couple of issues. Like for example, if you look at these clouds down here at the bottom, they're starting to turn green just a little bit, implying that they're actually really hot in like the temperature of the airplane, which is not what they should be doing. This is an effect you would get if you took a regular image of clouds and then mapped a thermal gradient on that footage from, you know, darkest things being cold and brightest things being hot. You'd get that effect. But also looking at the airplane here, when they zoom in on it, they've done their own custom texture on the airplane to give us that thermal look on the airplane, which is, once again, really well done. That takes time. You know, that's artistry. And the blur, the noise, the little crosshairs, all these things, just, it really nails the look, right? So, like, we shouldn't feel ashamed or anything like that if we look at these shots and we're like, wow, these are really realistic. I need to investigate. Because it's fantastic work by these artists, but there are some clear things that stand out that point to them being fake. You know, there's a lot, honestly. Everything from the contrails not being an accurate representation of contrails to the clouds being clearly lit by sunlight, even though it should be nighttime. The total lack of motion on the background. The particle emitters getting ahead of the objects when they're moving. The clouds not being illuminated by that bright flash of the airplane, which it brightens the pixels, but it doesn't actually change the direction of the light, which is what should really be happening. Like, all these things add up. And, well, of course, I'm leaving out the biggest one, which is you almost have to ignore it because then there's, like, you can't talk about this. It's no fun to talk about this. But the fact that the stock footage overlaid at the end for the teleport, like, that's the biggest one.
You think that
right?
matches?
Yes.
If there's stock footage
I guess we'll just
in
have to
your
agree to
UFO
disagree.
shot, well, then it's visual effects, right? You just can't get anything.
I think we're good with this.
Hold on,
But you know,
Is there,
at the end of
is
it
there a
all,
kicker coming?
What an ass. You're the guest. You're not the host of this fucking show. He's already at the end of this. Okay, yeah, I'm good here. Like, is there a kicker to this? Do I need? There's nothing more
stock
I need
footage.
here. Right? We're
Stock
good.
footage overlaid at the end for the teleport.
He's so
like,
pissed. He's so upset because
that's the
his
big
entire
thing,
world
right?
just crumbled.
Yes.
If there's stock footage
I guess we'll just
in
have to agree
your
to
UFO
disagree.
shot, well, then it's visual effects, right?
We'll have to agree to
I
disagree.
think we're good with this.
Hold on.
You're not agreeing to disagree. You're making facts up. You're making facts up to disagree. That's the difference.
At the end of
Is
it
there
all,
a kicker coming?
Is there a kicker coming? Like, can we be done with this? Can we be done with this? Even though this guy took the time out of his day, his schedule, just to cover this, right? Like he didn't have to do it, but they're also, I have a feeling they're working behind the scenes on a replication of this. And if they do it, chef's kiss, man. And especially if they do it with 2014 tech, oh, please. I would love for you guys to destroy this whole thing immediately. It really would be great. But I understand why they wouldn't, because it's a huge waste of fucking time and resources and money and effort to not be paid. I mean, I guess you could turn it into a video, you know, you could put it on the channel with almost 10 million subscribers, you know, because they're reliable and usually people go to them when they want answers on special effects because they're experts and in every other aspect of society. And I think this is where we're really losing it as humanity. All of a sudden, experts don't matter anymore. Expertise is not valued anymore for some reason, or at least that's the way it seems. When someone is an expert on something and they're giving you sound information or as sound as they know of, and it's immediately written off by some jerk who's only looked at it for 5 months. It's insane. It's we are living in some wild times, man. We really, really are. We really are. But just this idea that this guy took all this time out of his day, you know, to help Danny Jones, to help the podcast, to bring some clarity to the discussion. And this guy's like, okay, are we done with this? Like, are we done? No, we're not. Can we let it finish? This is my show. Shut the fuck up. How about that? How about that? And that's what a host needs to do with this guy. Honestly, that's what somebody needs to do with this guy. Cut off his mic when he says shit like, this is the facts. No, it's not. It's not the facts. You're making shit up.
Right, you just can't get any.
I think we're good with this.
But you know,
I think we're good with this.
You're coming.
Like I want this stuff to be real. I want to find like UFO footage, UAP footage, whatever. I want to find paranormal footage that I can't explain. That, to me, that's thrilling. Like, I'm there, right? Yeah. But if we want to find the stuff, we need to be scientific about it, which is what I'm trying to do here by analyzing this and breaking it down, looking at the visual effects elements here.
I mean, he's being sincere. He's being genuine.
We have a show that we do once in a while on our Corridor Crew channel where we look at UFO footage like this with all the visual effects artists here at the studio, and we try to break down what visual effects techniques we're noticing, if any. If you guys want to check it out, you can check out our YouTube channel at Corridor Crew. I hope to see some of you there. But yeah, that's it. Danny, thanks for having me on. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your podcast and your discussion. Look forward to checking it out when it comes out.
Yeah. Wow.
So what is your first initial gut reaction to that?
Yeah. So we're gonna get into a little bit of his reaction to it. I don't want to spend too much more time on this guy Ashton anymore. I think this will be the last podcast that I ever talk about him, hopefully, because until there's new information, actual concrete information, I don't give a shit about this anymore. It's so dumb and it's such a waste of time. But do these guys the favor, check them out on YouTube, Corridor Digital. I will follow anybody and subscribe to anyone who brings some clarity to the discussion. So I appreciate the guys at the Corridor Crew. I appreciate all the work that they did. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And so I'm glad that they took the time. I'm glad that they added some clarity to this stupid discussion with these stupid charlatans and these guys that are just trying to make a following for themselves. That's all they're trying to do, man. It really, really, really is. I wanted to get to one more video. Or not one more video, but this is sort of the full conversation here from the Danny Jones podcast, and it's really like around here at the end where we get sort of the way Ashton feels, sort of the advice that's given to him. So let's start. No, that's too far. That's too long. We've proven
multiple times there is parallax.
Let's get to this part here.
The fact that you talk in such absolutisms as if it's absolutely
Isn't
real.
That what you're doing?
When you've been looking at it, I'm just questioning what you're saying. Like you're saying it's absolutely real. I'm saying Nico's video is very.
Here's that one.
See, he cuts you off, and he puts
and it's not even a
his little
match.
stupid
you can see all the
videos
extra
up.
dots that aren't there. I mean, people have debunked the hell out of this attempt. You can see that it's clearly not the same. So for everybody watching, judge for yourselves. You can see that these are not the same matches.
If I'm gonna
go ahead.
If I know nothing about visual effects and I know nothing about video compositing, right?
Sure.
I am gonna be more convinced and be likely to believe Nico's breakdown of it over somebody who has only been looking at this for 2 months.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I think that again.
And additionally, I would be more willing to trust somebody like him over somebody who posted on Reddit that he was a visual effects lead for a Top Gun movie when there's no verifiable evidence of who that person is. You're not sitting down and talking to them.
And that's the way he just brushes that aside, because he uses that as a big point of contention for his argument that these are real videos, is that a supervisor and special effects production lead from Top Gun said that this was a real video. Who was it? What's his name? Did you talk to him? No. Have you met him? No. How do you know he's a special effects supervisor? Because he told me. Okay, have you seen any of his bona fides? No. Can you tell us who it is? No. You just have to trust me, bro. He worked on Top Gun. Okay, and then he uses this other guy who is a Marvel special effects coordinator. And he's like, I'll trust the Marvel guy. Okay, so who's the Marvel guy? He's a guy on Reddit. What's his name? I don't know. Have you ever met him? No. Have you ever actually interviewed him? No. Have you talked to him? No. Have you, on Twitter, on Reddit? We messaged each other back and forth, and I think he's telling the truth. He worked on Marvel movies. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. Okay? If you're going to say that, you got to say who. So then that way we can go question, okay, can you explain to us why you, the special effects coordinator with Marvel, think this is real? Explain it to us. So that way, hey, we can get a better understanding of it. But none of these guys want to put their names to this because that's their credibility. That's their reputation. But yet when you do get somebody who puts their credibility, reputation, business name, YouTube channel on the line to get something right, he's got no problem doing it because he's so confident in his knowledge about special effects that he's got no problem sharing his name at all. At all. And if there were Marvel executives out there or special effects supervisors who did Top Gun stuff, then they'd come out and say it. They would. They'd say, hey, you need to pay attention to this. It's very interesting. And I know because I did the special effects on Top Gun. It's so dumb, dude. It's and the fact that Ashton is like, yeah, I'd much rather take the word of a random guy on Reddit over a person who just showed me their face, their name. They went through the whole video frame by frame and gave me their expert opinion on it because they're an expert at that specific job. He's mistaken. He just discredited himself. I guess he'll never get work again, huh, Ashton? You jerk off.
I just don't understand why you want to, like, it seems like I feel like you are taking this personal as if it's an attack on you, but no, it's not. All it is it's attacking the idea and the theory. And you seem very, very attached to it and like offended that this guy is attacking and trying to discredit this idea.
I would say you're just projecting your own emotions and insecurity, frankly.
The balls. The balls. I think you're just projecting your own emotions and insecurity, frankly. You're the idiot here, not me. He's so confident. And I think that's what's scary about him. He's got no fear. He really either he really believes he's right. He 150% believes he's right. That's his own quote. But there's something else to this, man. There's something else to this guy. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. And I bet I could throw him a good 4 feet. Yeah. I'd go over on 4 feet. There's something wrong here, man. Obviously, there's something wrong here. It's a fake bullshit story, but the veracity at which it's told is scary. And the bots that are around this guy is concerning. And the people that he's convincing that this shit is real is also a little concerning. It's amazing how far this asshole has taken this. And he was complaining the other day about how it's not getting enough attention. I mean, look at his YouTube channel. He's a terrible YouTuber. I know because I've watched a little bit of it. It's really bad. And he's got 9.16 thousand subscribers because he's used all of these platforms to build this. He's monetized. He can make money off of this 187,000 viewed video, this 12,000K video, this 14,000K video. He's got live streams now. And I think the biggest mistake, and we'll get there. I'll highlight it once we get there in this interview. And it's my only critique of this Danny Jones interview is we'll get there.
I had no problem with his post. I pointed out like 5 factually incorrect statements he made, and you're still willing to take him on his word.
Because he's been doing this for decades.
And that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything that he's been doing VFX for decades?
Not with regards to this, no.
That is insane how confident he is with that. That's fanaticism, man. That is blind fanaticism or a targeted campaign. I'm going to lean toward fanaticism. He really believes he's right, but I'll leave room for just confusion, disinformation. I don't know. I don't know why his bosses are letting him get away with this shit. If he's got a top security clearance, that means he's working for some kind of government contract at the very least. I don't know why any employer of the United States military would let somebody go out and publicly do something like this. This is causing so many headaches in common sense. This is why nobody trusts the media. Because they find jerks like this, and because he presents himself so well, and he's so goddamn ardent with his belief that I can see why some people are like, there's no way this guy's lying. There's no way he's got it wrong. Everything he's saying, it makes sense, even though they don't really understand what he's saying. He doesn't understand what he's saying.
Been investigating these. He would not long enough to realize that it wasn't daytime, not long enough to realize there's a parallax effect, not long enough to realize the clouds move. I mean, so why should I take the word of somebody who's made several falsehoods that, like, all he had to do is go find this evidence that I found?
You don't have to, but like you should be open-minded to this kind of stuff. And when real people come out and try to do breakdowns of it and try to break this down and try to debunk it, you should be very open-minded to them and not so defensive about it.
I was open-minded. That's why I addressed every single point. I didn't dismiss anything he said.
You said it's absolutely real footage, and there's no chance that it's VFX.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion, yes. And again, it's because he admits as well.
Again, that's his opinion. And listen to what he says here.
Perfect animation with 0 issues.
Perfect animation with 0 issues. He didn't say the 0 issues. He said it was a perfect animation on the plane effect. On the effect of the plane, the motion of the plane. So he's taking that quote and he's twisting it to fit his narrative, his opinion, which he just said it was, since we're doing that now, right? You just said it was your opinion, not a fact, your opinion, Ashton.
So the rest of his subjective statements, most of them are false. And again, it's a statement of fact. You know, it's not contrails, it's not daytime, clouds move, it's parallax, the illumination from the zap accurately illuminates the clouds. Like, you know, these are things that discredit him, you know? So, you know, I think that was a mistake for him to make that video, but, you know, I respect that he's up to it. He can have his own opinion. And I would just ask that the viewers, you know, look at the evidence themselves, as opposed to taking someone's credibility that
like we normally do in life.
Like another VFX guy who has the same experience, if not more than he does,
it wouldn't
to sit
matter.
down and analyze
it wouldn't
this
matter.
and give their true opinion on it?
I would like, if anyone thinks it's easy to make, why don't they go ahead and make another original in the similar vein without using any assets from our videos?
Why? So then that way when they make it, they go through all the trouble, they actually do it, you can turn around and say, yeah, it's not even close to what we put out. It's not even close. And deny that as well. So that's why nobody wants to do this, because it's a waste of fucking time. Because we already know the answer. We already know your response to a video that nobody should make, because it's a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You are a waste of time, Ashton Forbes. Anyone who follows you is a waste of time, Ashton Forbes. Anybody who is propagating your stuff is wasting people's time, adding conspiracy theory and confusion and unclarity to an already confused world. We need less shit like this, not more of it. And I'm not sure why. I hope it doesn't get past a 731,000 subscriber kind of show. And if it does, I hope it's to eviscerate him intellectually.
And I would like them to actually record how they do it and see how long it takes them. And then we can compare, because we've got between 4 days and 72 days. And what I would like for people to do who want to debunk it is build a story. Don't just tell me and give me your expertise.
Build a story.
Tell me, what's the story on how it got created? Did Regicide Anon created it? What computers did he use when he did it?
Yes, Regicide Anon created it. He used a MacBook Pro from 2016 with a Final Cut editing or some sort of Adobe Premiere for sure. So there you go. Yes, he faked it. He faked it. It's really simple.
How long did it take him to do that? Why was he...
Took him anywhere between 4 days and 72 days. I don't know. Depends on what he does for an actual job.
Spending his own effort where nobody else was willing to do so.
Because he wants to fake the shit out of people. He wants a video that went viral. And you provided that. Congratulations. And here's a little theory. I'm going to throw this theory out there. I think the Anon account is Ashton. I think maybe he made it. Prove me wrong. Because the arguments that this guy provides are as if somebody who was in on making it or made it themselves. So that's my little theory. So don't be shocked when that happens. Definitely After Effects terrestrial material. Without a doubt. Some After Effects. I mean, it's not tough, man. It's not out of the realm of 2014. It's actually not out of the realm of 2000. It's not out of the realm of 2000 to create some footage like that, I think. Again, like think of Jurassic Park. Think of all these really high-end special effects movies. All of those things started trickling down to the consumer by the 2000s. All of that processing power. I know that seems like a real long time ago, 2014. I mean, it was almost 10 years ago. Pretty much was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, computers were still really powerful. They weren't fucking like, you know, primitive machines.
Give me another story that makes sense. I've produced my story here that makes a ton of sense. That explains what happened here.
Can we end with some Cosmic Judas? Hell yes, we can end with some Cosmic Judas. Absolutely. He's been on absolute fire lately. We will definitely end the show with some Cosmic Judas. So stay tuned till the very, very end. I got to play his stuff at the very end of the video. So when I get the copyright strike on the music that he uses, I can just edit out the end of the video and it doesn't affect the rest of the video. But yes, we will 100%. I will always fulfill that request anytime. Anytime. Let's see here. Solver of the Silver. Was the targeted harassment campaign to target Ashton to get control of the of the bud real? If it was, I'd love to show how stupid their belief system really is. Where is that video? Where's that comment? I just accidentally took it off, but anyway. There it is. HTID tricky. I'm going to leave that comment up until we hit that one. All right, let's listen to the rest of this.
Here's that this videos are real.
Yeah, but how stuck are you with your story? How willing are you to change your story?
0%.
Very willing. I literally, you can watch, if you go read my Twitter, you'll see that I've been one of the most open, honest people about this whole situation. I'm open about the fact that early on, I thought that it was potentially non-human intelligence until I dug into the investigation. I didn't know what the situation was.
How long ago was that you thought it was non-human intelligence?
That was like right away, probably in August, early August. You can actually go listen to my early podcast.
August of this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been investigating this for 3 months. If you want to listen to my Investigate Earth podcast, you'll hear that my opinions, and I was very scared during that time, have changed significantly in terms of the narrative, but the evidence has stayed pretty much solid. Now then, since then, and even then, we thought, okay, is this an emergency event or is this espionage to some degree? I've always been open in terms of the narratives and what people want to believe.
The reason, what I'm trying to get across here is that the way you speak in such absolute terms as if things are objective facts. Like what I'm trying to say and what Nico's saying is subjective, but what you're saying is fact. When I talk to people on this podcast, for example, Tom O'Neill, he was an investigative reporter who spent 20 years.
This is great because, again, Danny Jones has talked to a lot of people. There's a reason why he's got 731,000 subscribers. He's talked to a lot of people and a lot of investigative journalists. And listen to the difference between a real investigative journalist and Ashton Forbes here.
Years looking into the Manson murders. He spent more time on that story than anybody on earth. He flew all around the world to have in-person interviews recorded on tape in their homes for 20 years. And he put this all together in a book just released a couple years ago. And he lays out all the evidence, all the interviews, all the different theories, tries to pressure test them against each other. And at the end of the book, there's no conclusion. He goes, I don't know what happened. I don't have an opinion on what happened. I did the research and you guys should come up with your own opinions and you guys tell me what you think. Okay. And the book is it's one of the #1 true crime books in history. Cool. And the thing,
I mean, listen to him, dude. He's just writing off everything. He's genuinely trying to connect with this guy and say, look, here's the difference between you and a genuine reporter. And Ashton's just writing off, cool. Oh, he wrote a book? Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out. Okay. He's very much just get through it, pal. Nothing you're saying is registering with me at all. It's so cocky.
If he's sitting down here and I say, Tom, what is your opinion? What is your personal opinion on what you believe actually happened? I can't pull it out of him. He goes, I don't know. He says, I don't know. All I know is what I found out, where the evidence leads, and you can come to your own opinion. I think probably 1, 2, 3, or 4. These are the only things that could have happened from the investigations that I did. He never once says that this is an objective fact. Unless it was something like if he's sitting down with someone and they made a claim, he can say, yes, this person in fact claimed this. This person in fact claimed this. This CIA document in fact says this, right? There's nothing, he doesn't speak in these same terms. It's all kind of open-ended and investigative, right? Yeah. So can you understand why people want get turned off to when you're communicating in a way that things are absolute and you want to shut down people like Nico when they're trying to poke holes in the story instead of using all these people from every single angle, whether they're corroborating you or whether they're going against you, trying to use that all, put it together, find out what fits and figure out what the truth actually is.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just giving my opinion in terms of what I think happened. I've been always 100% clear that anyone's free to believe whatever they want from a narrative perspective. But the facts will remain the facts. And what I said, if I say something I'm saying is a factual statement, then I'm making a factual claim.
Yeah. And that's the problem is it's not your opinion if you're claiming them to be facts. And the things that you're saying are facts are not facts. They're just not.
When I say that the VFX doesn't match on even a single frame, that's a factual claim.
That's not a fact.
When I say that I think that it was a fire event, That's an opinion.
You don't think it matched though, but you're not a VFX expert, right?
It's
you're
not
looking
needed.
at it from a layman perspective.
That's
You haven't sat down with 3 or 4 VFX supervisors from Marvel, right? You haven't sat down with them and had the conversation with them and gone frame by frame like Nico just did.
I think we just addressed that part, and I think that I've addressed all the specific claims that you made in there which were untrue. So
you didn't address them.
You know, I don't take somebody at their word.
Right, but what I'm saying is you addressed it. Like,
you
haven't had these other experts come in and try to pick apart what Nico did. Like, you're doing it yourself and saying it's your opinion.
Healthcare professional.
I understand that part in terms of what I claimed in there. Like that, I think I've adequately addressed everything that he mentioned in there.
No, you didn't.
The key point is that the VFX does not match. That was his strongest claim. That it, as a matter of fact, does not match on a single frame. I want to make sure I'm saying that again. As a statement.
This is my critique of the interview right here, is that he lets him get away with this. He lets him get away saying that this is a matter of fact, what he's saying right here.
A fact, it does not match on a single frame.
It does. It matches perfectly. It's not a fact. And I wish he would have fought back just straight up like that. No, let me correct that. It's not a fact. I am looking at the same thing he's looking at. And everyone in this room outside of him agrees that it's a perfect match. The special effects guy who put his name on his reputation on the fact says it's fake. That's a fact. It's fake. So we're supposed to believe the IT healthcare professional with the security clearance over the professionals who've been working in audio, video pretty much their whole lives in special effects. They're wrong. Got it.
Any pixels match. If it's not 100%, it's not a match.
And it's a matter of fact that explosion is not a graphic element that was added.
That is a matter of fact as
well.
That
is a fact, you're saying?
That is a fact, yes.
Dude, the thing is, you just don't sound like someone who wants to find the truth. You sound like someone who's like defending your theory to the death. Okay. You know what I mean?
You can believe whatever you want.
I mean, dude, Danny's so patient with this guy. And the amount of transgressions and subtle jabs and the disrespect that Ashton's shown, passive aggressive disrespect to the rebuttals, to the pushback on these claims, it's been so disrespectful. And the amount of patience that Danny Jones shows here, because he could have lit his ass up. He could have made him look really stupid. And honestly, that's what I think he needs. I really think he needs that. He needs to be made to look stupid. He needs to be made an example of publicly. Intellectually, he needs to be brought down to the level that he's at right now, which is remedial. It's remedial. These are fake videos, period, full stop. Should not go past that.
I'm just telling you like what it sounds like. You don't sound like any investigative journalist I've ever talked to in that sense. Like you sound like it's somebody on Twitter who is fighting and it's my way or the highway. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
to me, it sounds like
it's just an idea. It's not you. It's just an idea. You're not attached to it.
Yeah. I mean, I would counter that because it sounds like to me that you've got invested in this idea that it has to be fake, right? You told me ahead of time you're extremely skeptical. You obviously went and found this guy and had him come and try to make this claim because you wanted to.
So now it's a conspiracy against.
So I would say it seems like you're projecting your own insecurities. For me, I'm not against it whatsoever, right? If you can come back and maybe next time he can go look at it and not make so many factual errors, I'd be happy to listen, right? But like right away, again, I think there was like 6 to 8 factual errors that were made in that video. And when I judge people, I don't judge people based on their background.
I don't think they were, like, you haven't proven to me that they were factual though. We're not going to get past it, so we can just move past it. I don't think they were factual errors. I don't think anything that you showed. I completely disagree with the clouds. I think they're not moving. I think that VFX element matches perfectly. But
the evidence speaks for itself, I think, either way.
Yes, I agree. We'll let the people decide.
Sounds good to me.
Let's move on past this to the guy who you think is the man who was the whistleblower behind this.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another part too, is that we think we actually found the guy who literally leaked the videos, the ones that you think apparently are faked by somebody and use a 90s visual effect, right? So
That's. I mean, you don't have to get mad at me. I'm just. You sound upset. Yeah, I'm not attacking you.
Upset.
You have to understand. Like, this is good that you have people attacking it like this, because it's only gonna. You have to get people that are just as credible as he is and just as knowledgeable as he is to show why he's wrong. And I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think that the reason why you may detect some level of hostility is we moved past the visual effect thing like 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
People are still hung up
2
on
months
that.
ago.
Like, I realize we're not going to be able to reach everybody.
Some
figured
people
it
are
out
just
too close-minded
in
and
a
not going
month.
to be able to accept that what we see is real in these videos. And I'm not trying to attack you in this particular case, just people in general, right? I'm not going to be able to convince everyone. I'm trying to reach people who want to change the world, who realize there's more to this world than what they're told by experts and what they're told on TV. And so really that's my intention here.
Everything's
so
a conspiracy. He wants to add as much confusion and conspiracy to the world as humanly fucking possible. That's what he's trying to do. That's what he just said he wants to do.
I don't mean to, but it is going to be, it's a contentious situation. One of the things that I've promised is that I'm not going to let other people set a false narrative.
I just think, like,
you see that? He's not going to let people set a false narrative, so he's going to determine and claim what the facts are. He is. Nobody else. And I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. It's not the way it works, man.
You got to do your best to not get angry at this stuff.
Okay.
I think that's really important.
Oh, I agree.
No, you don't.
I really need a technical explanation from somebody who like does this stuff or has been like involved in this stuff, like hands-on. Like, I really just, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it's so phenomenal,
definitely.
and there's in every single online category you could imagine when it comes to conspiracies, you could always find people who just they want to find the meaning of life, and they want their life to be the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's not me. I don't want to be famous. In fact, I would like to go back to being a normal person one day if that's my option. I think I've been pretty clear about that as well. The only reason why I picked this up is because I didn't think anybody else would do it.
Well, man, it's you're doing a lot of incredible work. And
This is my biggest critique of the interview. You end it with, I think you're doing a lot of incredible work. I don't think he's doing any incredible work. I think he's adding a shit ton of confusion. I think he's insulting families. I think he's removing scars, emotional scars, to let them bleed again. I think he's taking advantage of a moment. I think he's trying to build a YouTube channel. I think he is trying to get a following, because at the end of this show, he gets to plug all of his little social handles. And he gets a little pat on the back like, hey, you're doing great work. No, you're not. I don't think you're doing great work at all. And, I think that was the only critique I had. Other than that, I think Danny Jones did an amazing job at tearing down why this is bullshit. He made a great presentation, got a special effects expert by name who's publicly known and known for being a great special effects expert to take the time, look at this video on his own dime, to come to a determination after looking at it for a good long time, make and edit a video, upload it so he can add some context and clarity. And, so all of that is amazing. Again, this is a 3 hour and 17-minute video. There's over 9 hours of interviews between two shows of this guy. And in 9 hours, he cannot eloquently pitch to you in an elevator pitch what the hell happened and what's going on. He can't do it. As a matter of fact, if this interview didn't end, he still would have gone for another 3 hours explaining all of his bullshit, all of the reasons why this is real. Like, you can give him 20 hours to explain all of this. It wouldn't be enough time. It would never be enough time. There's always some detail, always something. That's why I think maybe he faked it himself. I really do. I'm starting to think that maybe he had a hand in faking this shit himself. And this is his way of monetizing that. I mean, why sit on it for that long? I don't know, man. Who knows? There could be a million reasons why somebody would sit on this long and then all of a sudden pick it up. I have no clue. But, the very empty arguments that this guy provides as facts is really easy to see. And so with that said, you guys, I think we're going to get the hell out of here. This was a really fun show. I do enjoy moments like this. I mean, these are great moments to learn. These are great moments where the community comes together, and I think in most cases, stable, rational minds prevail. But there is a space where this stuff festers, and it festers, and every year or every couple years it'll regurgitate and show up again. And yeah, it's just moments like this where I think it's great that guys like this get exposed. It's great that special effects guys come forward and provide some context and call out this shit, man. Like it took 9 hours to definitively prove that this is all bullshit. And it's 9 hours I'm never going to get back. And 9 hours I did not want to spend on this topic at all, because I knew immediately, as soon as I saw the videos, that they were fake. As soon as I looked at it, I was like, that's bullshit. It looks just like a third phase of moon video. So here we are arguing about basically third phase of moon videos. Like, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Anyway, you guys, want to say thank you to everyone who was in the chat. Silly Goose for moderating, Dexter Sinister on Edna, Pat Calabria, Anonymous, Cosmic Judas is here. Bro, we're going to end this show with some Cosmic Judas videos. The king of UFO memes, absolute king. East Coast Tina, thank you for watching us over there on Twitch. I really appreciate it. Wise Monkey, Eventide, all of you guys that showed up. I appreciate all of the love. Truly, truly, truly. Yeah, fun show. Please don't forget to smack that like, share, subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you're notified anytime we go live. If you want to support the show with the almighty dollar, the links are in the description below. Please go check them out. Once again, thank you for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing to Lou Reviews. And until next time, thank you for helping raise the bar. I'm Luis Jimenez. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Love you. Peace.
And you know who's in the White House right now? Is John Podesta. Shout out to John Podesta in the White House.
See you later.
And you know who's in the White House right now? Is John Podesta. Shout out to John Podesta in the White House.
Offensive.
No, I haven't.
You consider the word alien offensive to extraterrestrials.
Okay, here's the thing about that. Okay, someone who is an expert in this field told me that, and then I said it in one interview, and people are like, "Oh my God, she's being so sensitive," and I was like, "Okay, no, it's just that's what I was told."
Now these extraterrestrials, I don't use the word alien because it sounds alien means foreign, which is xenophobic and negative. So please don't use that word around me if you want to, but I hate that word.
I haven't.
This might be my favorite, guys.
Joe Murgia. Joe, welcome to the show. Thanks for having me on. I don't know, after a couple of years of Disclosure 98, Disclosure 99, Disclosure 2000, I think we're closer than ever.
I know we talk about disclosure and are we going to get there, and I'm not holding my breath. I'm not crossing my fingers. I'm just going to let's see what happens this year. I don't know if it'll happen or not. If the Department of Defense comes out and says, yes, we do have information on that particular event or this particular event. I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you got to hear the audio from one of the astronauts, but it was Houston, we have a sighting of an unidentified flying object. Maybe the craft is creating, Hal Puthoff, that's another name, a physicist out in California, talks about them creating sort of a gravitational field surrounding the craft.
Joe Murgia. Joe?
This has got to be maybe his, I honestly, this is peak Cosmic Judas right here, in my opinion. Just pure perfection.
Disclosure is coming. Disclosure is coming. Disclosure is
So I don't know if you guys saw, but yeah, that's Ryan Robbins, aka UFO Jesus, ringing his bell for disclosure.
I think we're in a cosmic...
All right, here we go. This is good old Jesse Michaels talking to Jake Paul. Just peak UFO interest right here.
I think we're in a cosmic war of sorts, and I think your orientation towards the whole subject is very important.
Yeah, because yeah, one of the thoughts is maybe on another universe they put more effort into these machines that can transcend time, but humans went down this rabbit hole of splitting the atom to make the bomb.
Exactly. I love that you watch the whole that. Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, that hand movement, homeboy.
And I start seeing these orbs flying around this room. I start seeing these like green lights coming out, and then like this green man like showed himself over my bed, and I was like, what the fuck? And this was the most clear. He's very well off.
He's a man who suffers from CTE.
This guy's a investing genius.
He's been cracked in the head so many times.
UAP stuff is like personal interest.
Yeah,
and I think that's an important thing to note, that this is like not like.
But I think they're different, you know, I think you can know this stuff in the abstract, and I don't know if it helps. First of all, I don't know if I know anything. I could be wrong about all this stuff, but I think you can know it intellectually, and then you can know it experientially, which clearly you're tapped into something.
Oh, man.
Think, aliens have pronouns?
You ever think aliens have pronouns? Jesus, dude. This hand movement right here, this is why I love Judas, when he catches little moments like this, when tech bros who are selling UFOs are doing shit like this. They're just so cool.
I love that you watch the whole day.
Oh, man.
100%.
100%, dog. For sure. Here we go.
If you would like to ask a question, please proceed to the microphone.
Here's our buddy Jay from Project Unity.
The furthering of our understanding of human consciousness and the capacity for it to be non-local in terms of the wider universe is a necessary component to understanding and appreciating the UFO phenomenon.
If you want to expand your consciousness to understand this phenomena greater, become a Gaia subscriber.
According to some of the tablets, but it seems as if some stayed here. Some were actually banned from going back to their home planet.
Oh, yeah?
Because they had intertangled with human beings or human women.
Is to all of the panel, what do you think our next steps as a species should be?
I think there is hope. I'm working for people now that are buying up the Amazon. Where because in COVID, what was happening in the Amazon, you got land invaders and they were taking over and making farms. But there are people out there, unsung heroes, not on Facebook, not on Instagram, putting money into saving our beautiful planet.
Brilliant, thank you.
Amazing.
What book are you talking about? What book are you talking about?
These documents, the Blue book about
Project Blue Book.
Project Blue Book. Yeah.
Love it. This is great. This one's great too, man. They're all great.
Ufology eats its own. I'm like, what the hell is ufology? I don't even know what that is. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been. I never will be. So stop wrapping me into that. I am not into ufology. I'm not. In fact, it was up to me. I'd blow it up into a million pieces, as I said before.
There's your hero. There's your queen.
Ufology eats its own. I'm like, what
Right
the hell
there.
is ufology? I don't even know what that is.
There she
I'm not a
is.
ufologist. I never have been. I never will be. So stop wrapping me into that. I am not into ufology. I'm not.
I am
In
not
fact, it was up
into
to me. I'd blow it up into
ufology.
a million pieces, as I said before.
Oh, I get such a kick out of this dude, man. Okay, this is gonna be the last one, and this one was absolute. I think I've already played this one, but confirmed, TR3B is real. No, I gotta end on this one. Sleep tight, y'all. Love you.
David Koresh is a hero, without a doubt. And everyone else, all your names, are gonna be in history. All the other people. You don't think we're gonna know? Your family name is gonna go down in history as a piece of shit. Your coward wasn't too emotional, but man,